Hello everyone, and welcome to Hearts of Iron 4. I've been teetering around with the idea of doing a South African campaign, and I think initially, the more I thought about it, I was like, well, if we stay democratic, it's kind of going to be boring until World War II breaks out. So, my initial thought is we're going to take South Africa, take them fascist, and then go after Portugal and maybe even Belgium and wait for the war to erupt and see if we can't try to unify Africa. I'm in the middle of a Let's Play with Mexico, and let me go ahead and kind of lay some groundwork. We are playing with increased resources as well as the Road to 56 mod. And in that campaign, I took Mexico and turned them communist. And I think if I could go back and do it again, and I may go back and do it again, I would have done a few things differently. But I basically, in that alternate history, and helped initiate a war between Germany and Italy as the Axis versus basically the Comintern in 1938. I don't think this is going to be as adventurous per se, but we'll go ahead and dive into it. So South Africa is they do have they do have a fascist element. That's good. Our leader is this guy JBM Herzog, and I bet he's probably a Afrikaner with that last name. So we'll go ahead and take a look at South Africa. They have 2 starting research slots. They do start off with 1936 guns, although they do not have they don't even have that. Kind of the support equipment. Okay. They do have support equipment. Excuse me. They don't have basically the Vickers machine gun and the Stokes mortar, which those are kind of supporting pieces of weaponry. That's what you want to call it. They do have the Vickers 2 light tank. Okay, that's good. Artillery wise, 18 pounders. Okay. And that's their land doctrine. Okay. Basically start out with the destroyer. And boy, that is it. Whew. And Fleet and Bing. Okay. Airwise. Okay. Now this is interesting. They have a little better air force than some of the others. They have the Whitley. Okay, that's a medium bomber from 1933, as well as the Nimrod, the Gladiator, the Hector, and the Swordfish. Okay, well. And then air doctrine wise, nothing. Engineering, nothing. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and pick up basic machine tools. And electronic mechanical engineering, largely because I prefer those to be my first 2. We'll go ahead and take a look at the unit. So it looks like infantry. Are these all the same unit type? There's no way. So it looks like some district and brigade forces, excuse me. And we're going to go ahead and form them up into one and pick a commander. Mr. Brink. Good for that. Okay. Factory wise, it looks like they have 9 consumer factories, and military they have 1. Oh boy. And focus tree. Now I have not looked at the South African focus tree, but this looks an awful lot like kind of the generic research tree. Yeah, most definitely. Okay, so they don't have a specialized tree in the Road to 56, which is okay. In fact, that actually works a little better for me, simply because I understand these fairly well. And I'm not going to mess it up almost like I did in Mexico. So we're going to go ahead and open the political spectrum. We want to go ahead and get 200 political power because we want to use that to move towards fascism. And in the meantime, fairly decent infrastructure. Not so much in Southwest Africa. That's okay. So, okay. No anti-air. And realistically, okay, so we got 9 factories. What can we do? What do we need to do? Ooh, let's go ahead and bolster this. So it looks like we've got, well, we'll get some free ones. So in the meantime, I think what I really want to do is just focus on infrastructure. Because we'll pick up some free ones. We really will. And that looks good. So we'll say build infrastructure. No divisions in training. Alright. Alright, what's the difference? Let's see the difference. So the brigade has 1 column, 3 troops. I like that a little better. Let's go ahead and train those. And since we're going to go to war with Portugal, I want you to deploy there. And the rest of y'all, I want you to move up here. Alright, well I think that kind of gets us pretty much in mode to kick this thing off. And we're going to run it at speed 3. Considering it's going to take a little bit of time for us to go fascist, which is the first thing. I don't think we're going to join the Axis just yet. We probably will after they declare war on the Allies, and we'll join that because that'll pretty much guarantee that we can fight. Actually, I say that we may join the Axis once we knock out Portugal and Belgium. So this will be interesting. Should be interesting. You know, I've never played in Africa, and I do believe that we should be able to make some decent gains. Portugal may be a bit of a problem. We may be at perpetual war with them, largely because I think we would have to take Lisbon. Isn't the end of the world. Definitely can be done. I'm just not sure they have the technology to do so. So, like I said, this is a generic research tree. And because that's not the research, excuse me. This is the generic well, yeah, that is. I'm talking generic focus. Oh my gosh. So, because it's the generic focus tree, we're not going to get extra research slots until we fully go down here and pick up basically national colleges. And I have a feeling that we're probably going to go down this route to get military research. So it's going to be vital that we snake down this tree, pick up nationalism, and then just continue to move down to try to get national colleges as well as military research. I would like to think that, okay, yes, please. I would like to think that this is going to look pretty good, and we will pick up some of these, the Army effort, the aviation effort, and the naval effort, but they're not going to be as vital to us as getting those extra research slots, because just it's very important. As you can see, no national spirit, 10 factories, yeah, 9 and 1. Let's see, they start off with volunteer only, export focus. I can live with that. I really don't like that. And yeah, so let's take a look at this. I think, yeah, these are kind of the standard stock if you pick a country that doesn't have a specialized focus in the road to 56. So we will probably initially pick up, I do like that, but I do want that one. We'll probably pick up J.F. van Rensburg. He's our fascist demagogue. He's going to basically spread the merits of how great being ruled by authoritarians are. And so in the meantime, what we can do, at least while we wait on some of this stuff to tick, is of course you start off in Italy's at war with Ethiopia. I've yet to see Ethiopia emerge victorious from that, which isn't the end of the world. And I say we're going to join. You know, the reality of the situation is, okay, so remilitarization of the Rhineland always happens. So, good for Germany. For those of you who are geographically challenged, the Rhineland's right here. Spanish Civil War could break out early, could go all the way into 1937. I've yet to have a playthrough, whether it be co-op, solo, just testing stuff out, where I've seen Ethiopia emerge victorious. I say we're going to join the Axis. Do I really want to join the Axis? I mean, Italy will be controlling parts of Africa. I'm just not so sure. And Great Britain's going to be a bit of a booger. Although, let's see here. Yeah, that's probably for the best. National focus, open the political sphere. That gives you basically 200 political power, which is kind of nice because you can pretty much immediately reform your government. Then we'll go for, I think we'll probably go for passive change. That's another Reformation moment right there. And then pick up nationalism. And then once we pick up nationalism, we're going to immediately go to the industrial effort. And then we're going to basically pick up armament effort 1, armament effort 2, construction effort 1 and 2. And then basically war economies. And we will probably snake down these two to get total war, pick up military research, return, and we may have some moments where we definitely do army effort. Makes sense. Probably do pick up some of these along the way, one-offs. I think most likely we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then do 9, 10, and exchange some of these military doctrines or military focuses, instead of just going strictly down there. Although, to tell you the truth, it may be worth it just to beeline for both of those extra research slots, as they will take time to get to, and we really don't want to be behind the 8 ball. So I probably won't go as heavy into the really boosting the economy side of things as I normally do when I have more research slots than normal. But that could totally change. I mean, I want to say that unless there's some crazy event that's tied into this mod, South Africa is probably going to top out at 4 research slots, where, I think with Argentina you can get 5 real quickly. With Mexico you can get 5 fairly quickly. And, you're kind of hamstringed by 2 research slots, which is kind of interesting to me. I think that I would argue that, if you look at the history of South Africa, really starting with the Boer Wars that happened and just the human capital that they had there, they had some pretty smart folks. So open the political sphere, and we will immediately take passive change and modify our government. We will pick up the fascist demagogue, and we're going to say that the higher-ups may harbor unspoken sympathies, which, it kind of makes sense. I mean, coming after World War I, before that, the English engaged in South Africa. A little history lesson. The two of the Boer republics, I want to say it was the Orange Free State and South African Republic. Was that it? No. Maybe it was it Transvaal? Yeah, maybe the Republic of the Transvaal. Anyways, those are 2 pretty stinking brutal wars. If you're unfamiliar with the term Boer, it's Dutch for farmer. In South Africa, they had several unique European people groups, but the 2 largest were pretty much the English, who pretty much occupied most of Cape Colony down here, and then the Dutch Boers, which, it wasn't strictly Dutch, and I think a lot of people, it was predominantly Dutch, but you had French Huguenots, you had Spaniards, you had a slew of Germans and other ethnic groups that went down there, and they formed communities, and they kept trekking out, and they were very farm oriented people. But because of that, when they fought the British, and they beat them back pretty good in the first one, and in the second one they gave them fits. But they used guerrilla warfare tactics, and so these two republics, which one was right here, the other was around here. Because of that, there are really kind of two. Well, now there are multiple official languages of South Africa, but the Boers, they spoke a daughter language of Dutch called Afrikaners, which is still spoken by a lot of folks in South Africa. And after the war, they made nice, but a lot of the individuals who went into government, if they weren't English, they were from that Afrikaner Boer ancestry, and they were the ones who created apartheid. Terrible system. But because of that, I could definitely see where you may have a draw for fascism from some of those individuals. So we have gotten electronic engineering. I really would love to pick up that, but I don't want to eat up a research. 235 is just a little stout. So we're going to go ahead and pick up this, because we're definitely going to need the Vickers machine gun and the Stokes mortar, primarily because it's going to basically infantry defense plus 5, infantry breakthrough plus 5%. So that's really kind of nice. After we pick up basic machine tools, we will pick up dispersed industry and then construction, and I think we're going to probably have to do that just to stay competitive. We will get some additional factories from our national focuses. Once we get there, we'll be able to pick up, let's see, I'll tell you exactly what it is. So industrial effort, basically a 50% boost, which we'll use, will be nice, and then you'll get basically two and two here, so that's 4 free factories military wise, and then 4 free civilian factories, which is kind of nice. Pick up wartime economics. What does that do for you? Plus 200 political power. This one gives you an additional 6 military factories. This one gives you basically research time minus 5%, so that is nice. And then total war is a great thing. Basically gives you a boost to your recruitable population, consumer goods factories minus 5%, national unity plus 5, and then there's your research slot. So that is pretty important. In fact, the more I think about it, I'm just going to sprint straight there, and we'll pick up some of these military focuses a little later on. I think it's vital that if this is going to be sustainable, we're going to have to go that route. So in the meantime, we can modify our government, and that's pretty much what we want to do. So we're going to pick up, actually, where did he go? Silent Workhorse. E.G. Jansen. Basically boost that political power, and we're going to need it. And then I think the next thing that we're going to do is we will probably... Is it social order? No, it's going to be division attrition. Ugh. No, it's not that one. It's going to be cultural norms. No, it's none of that. Actually, nope. We may save that for later if we run into population issues, which I think we very well may. 9.8 million. Okay. States mandate power and politics, secular institutions, divine inspiration. Ooh. Don't want to do that. We may personality cult. That actually, yeah. Personality cult may be worth taking. I don't know. Is that worth taking? I'm not sure. I think, if anything, what we're probably going to do is pick up a theorist, and we're going to pick up this guy. Primarily because we're going to need that guy, and we're going to need to start editing our infantry, because they're going to be the backbone of this army. We will have tanks at some point, but that's in the future. Okay, we're still good on time. Okay, and Ethiopia is probably not going to win this war. Poor Ethiopia. It is May of 36, no Spanish Civil War yet, and all in all, the world's a pretty relaxed place. Ooh, come on. Come on, game. Don't do anything too crazy on me. And there we go. Spanish Civil War. Boom. Almost like clockwork. Generally happens, for me, somewhere between May and September of 36. I did have one playthrough where the Spanish Civil War, for whatever reason, did not trigger until, gosh, I think it was April of 1937. I mean, it was a pretty late trigger. And there we go. We have picked up that. And we will now scroll over here and pick up nationalism. Hot dog. 70 days. Modify our government again. Get that theorist I spoke of. And welcome everybody to J.F. Van Rensburg. Alright, so basic machine tools. We'll continue down that industrial path. Dispersed industry, which basically improves a whole lot of stuff. I mean, just really great. Really, really great. And so we're kind of in cruise mode. But I think Portugal will be a fairly easy target, as they probably don't have an extensive amount of, I guess really, what am I trying to say? I don't think the core of their military is in Africa. Having said that, before we do that, I at least would like to have, the problem with declaring war on Portugal is we can take this, which I believe this is modern day Mozambique. And is this Zambia? Well, I don't have my phone with me. I would look that up. I may be incorrect. Is that Zambia? I don't know. Can't remember. But this is modern day Mozambique. And of course, you've got Botswana and Namibia. I may have those back and forth. Actually, no, I do. That's Botswana. This is modern day Namibia. And of course, you go up a little higher. I believe this is, and don't quote me on this, but I believe this is modern day Zimbabwe. Would become Rhodesia one day. Then become Zimbabwe. And then you've got, what is above Zimbabwe? Oh man, I'm dating me. Ooh, I used to know that. But anywho, the problem with what I'm really trying to say, the problem with fighting Portugal is we can take all this territory, which is great. Gives us more territory, gives us more land to build stuff in. The issue is I don't think we're going to be able to generate the war score without actually going to Portugal. So that's a problem. Now, in a perfect world, we fight a war and then be able to fight a defensive war against them. And maybe if Franco ends up winning this, if he does, which he normally does, then maybe he would take out Portugal and that'd be game over. No more war. But there's no guarantee in doing that. I'm not exactly gung-ho about starting a separate war with the UK, primarily because they would just destroy me. So that kind of puts us, I don't want to say in a pickle, but it puts us in a very interesting situation, starting in South Africa. But, like I said, it may take us some time, and you may see if the world war has broken out, it actually would benefit us to take these Portuguese territories, then take out Belgium, Congo, and then kind of wait and see what happens, and then maybe declare a war on France and pick up all this territory, and that may give us the avenue to go after Portugal. You never know. So that could be interesting. That actually would be really interesting, is if you snaked up, took that out, then basically controlled Iberia. Now that would be crazy. But we'll find out when we get there. So Czechoslovakia starts its border fortification process. Good for them. I have a feeling that they know what's getting ready to happen, and it's not good. Not good one bit for them. If history has taught us anything, it's really not good for them. See, can we see what Adolf is doing? Side with the Ataturks. So, basically, fascist sympathies in the military, the national spirit outranks the government. Amen. And let's see what that did for us. What did that do for us? And there we have it. Italy has fully conquered Ethiopia. Bye-bye, Haile Selassie. You were a fantastic ruler. and fascism is now at 26%, but that will definitely be jumping up to 40%. I'd really like to avoid a reign of terror style coup, but I may not be able to. I do know that has some negative connotations, so to speak. All in all, I have not played around with Kaiserreich, although I need to. I'm waiting for a friend of mine to be able to do a little co-op game where we pick 2 more unique countries and kind of test out and see what Kaiserreich looks like. But I will say this: Road to 56 is an amazing mod. It's a very comprehensive mod. It gives focus trees to countries that in the base vanilla game did not have focus trees. So on the whole, I would say that if you're asking me to play Hearts of Iron, I would prefer to play with the Road to 56 because it adds a lot of depth and retooling, and for lack of a better term, it and a few of the other mods that are out there with the community really deliver a game that almost could be purchased by itself without buying any DLC. And that's really cool. It's also really cool that Paradox is a developer, and it makes sense. They encourage modding. If you if you read any of the gaming news, that a lot of times there are mods that are created by some of these groups or independent people who have the programming skills necessary, and they really kind of lay the groundwork for features that weren't included in the game but could be included in the game. So it's kind of a win-win. I mean, to an extent, it's almost as if Paradox at times could probably get some free ideas from the programming community without having to put them on payroll. I would imagine, though, if you're a really good modder, at some point you may actually get a job offer. I mean, that would make sense to me. At least if you go back to World of Warcraft, I know that a lot of Blizzard staff pre the MMO came online because they had extensive experience with, I believe it was like RuneScape and some other things. Greg Street comes to mind. I mean, the guy's a marine biologist, and he did so much for World of Warcraft, and in terms of encounter design and all that other stuff. But ramblings aside, we have nationalism, and we will now begin to pick up the industrial effort. And as I said, nationalism has definitely 40%. So excuse me, I thought we were going to 40. We're now at 67%. So this is probably really can I pronounce this? The oh man, I'm gonna botch this. I wish there was an R there. So it's the National Party. Well, our next election is May 1938. That should be pretty interesting. But yeah, pretty vanilla episode. It's a setup episode. The first couple of episodes will probably be setup episodes, but we're kind of at a point where I think I want to make a cut to this one. So I'm going to pause the game and make that cut. But as always, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. We will come back in the next episode playing as, even though that says we're democratic, we are fully fascist. Not fully fascist. I mean, 67% of our population supports fascism. So I have a feeling that we will go fascist here pretty soon, which will afford us some, new opportunities. And once it does, we'll modify the government to pick up some better policies. But I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you liked the episode, hit the video with a like. I greatly appreciate it. It not only, is nice to do and nice to get likes, but more importantly, the likes help promote the videos. With the video promotion that goes on, helps grow the channel, gets more viewers, which is a little more of an incentive for me to continue to do this and hopefully get some of this content out there. And if you really liked it, or you want to continue to see regular videos, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get regular updates as new videos and new series comes out. I'm kind of in a method right now where I'm attempting to release about 2 a day, and it varies based on what I'm playing right now. And also, the last thing I'll say is if you really kind of enjoyed this video, I've got several other series. I'd encourage you to check them out. I've got some co-op Let's Plays of Hearts of Iron, some solo Let's Plays of Hearts of Iron 4, and then also some solo and co-op playthroughs of Crusader Kings 2. So, as always, guys, y'all be good, and I'll see you in the next episode.